Modern Jazz Record is where you released your music. Was getting support from a record label a difficult thing to do around that time in Italy, and did they support you creatively?
Yes, Modern Jazz Record is a private label. It allowed me to carry out many beautiful projects during my life. It let me choose freely to record my best compositions among Paris, New York, London, and also in Italy, together with my favorite partners and when I felt it better. And as you can see, Modern Jazz Record is still alive and well.
It is, and we actually spoke a little bit about that a little bit earlier. You also recorded probably one of my favorite records of all time, Together in Paris, again in the city of Paris. There seems to be a trend in naming your records after cities that you record in, as you did it as well with Marco DeMarco in New York. Does recording in a specific city influence the music that you create?
You know that I view jazz improvisation as a kind of creation of life. At its best, it begets an utterly new musical expression, and it's instantaneous interfacing of creativity. If you know, imagination, musicality, sheer invention and technique stretches to show it as the most mysterious of performing arts. You know that every time I performed and recorded in Paris, New York, and London, in Italy, my new compositions were inspired by these wonderful cities and their mutating soul.
Very nice. So we spoke a little bit about Chris Woods earlier. He appeared on the Together in Paris album and truly left a mark with his alto and flute playing. Can you speak about how you met and what he meant musically to those specific recordings?
Yes, Chris was my brother, my black brother, when I told, because I met Chris Woods only a few months before our recording in Paris. In 1974, I had some concerts to perform in Italy in quartet, and it was Jackie and Charles that proposed to me to add Chris to our trio. Yes, it was a great success for our group, and our collaboration was transformed very soon in a very special friendship which joined us till his end. Is that leave the gap in our heart that we couldn't be filled.
That's too bad. So, speaking of band members, the musical styles of your rhythm section, Jackie Sampson and Charles Cedric were almost all magical in their playing and really added to the fluid groove of your records. What were the actual recording sessions like? Like, was there a lot of improvisation, a lot of sharing of ideas and creating spontaneously?
Brotherhood among Jackie, Charles, and me was very strong for so a long time. We were so close, and Charles' death in '93 had blown a very important piece of us. My compositions and my arrangements always provided scope for the trio's creativity. Charles and Jackie's language intersected perfectly my feeling, and always we got together a magic mark.
And it definitely sounds that way. Now, in writing music then, how do you go about composing new work? Is it something that you hear in someone else's music? Is it like new chords that give you ideas or melodies? Under what conditions does Marco DeMarco create or perform the best?
My deep need of emotions very frequently takes me in pursuit of my music far away, getting many inspiration from towns and Paris, New York, and London, as I told you before, but also from the poetry of my life misted over with melancholy. All that gives me always the true feeling of being alive.
All right, so some of the places that you visited in, New York in particular, you got there in 1981. What kind of experience was it for you, both personally and professionally, to be visiting a place that many consider to be like the capital of the world in jazz? How was it different than other places in Europe like Paris, where you'd spent some time recording?
Well, you know that I was so bewitched by the Big Apple. I spent there many weeks from 1981 in concerts, broadcasts, TV, recordings, and awards also. Every time I felt a strong energy arising from this town. Next spring, I'll be for concert in the States, and of course I'll play in New York again. It's hard for me, to explain my different mood, to feel my experience in New York as in Paris, in London, and everywhere. Audience, musicians, and critics are everywhere warm and hearty with me and my music. Perhaps when I come home, always I take with me the charm of every experience I lived.
Oh, well, we definitely look forward to those new concerts and some new material from you. Now, we fast forward again, your work with Nathan Haynes on My London Friends. It was just brilliant and really captured both what you were doing in the European scenes in the 1970s as well as more contemporary sounds. Can you tell us a little bit about how the project got started and your thoughts of the actual end product?
Yes, it was great for me. My new musical project, due to be released in London, was a very special mark, rising from a profitable collaboration between Elysian Recordings Limited and me. The choice of musicians was excellent. Nathan Haynes immediately understood what I desired for my music. His extraordinary gift as an artist, his powerful imagination together with a great creative talent deeply helped the achievement of my compositions. We worked closely together on the arrangements of the tracks. The band was excellent and I was deeply satisfied of the result. Great. My London record is different from my previous releases, as you say, and you tell me, maybe closer to young people, perhaps.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to talk about with you. Were you surprised that there was this new interest in your music from record collectors and DJs and producers? Because there truly is a demand and respect for your music by a new generation from all over the world.
Yes, I was allured about so great interest in my music. So many fans, young people, record collectors, and producers. It's a long, very special period of my story. My music experience is going on, my feeling is growing. My pursuit of the poetry of my life is tireless. I'm still hoping that for a long time.